Hi, welcome back to What Matters This Week. I'm Mike Hoey, and joining me right now is Lisa Senecal, who is the new chair, just elected, I believe, very recently, of the Vermont Commission on Women. Lisa, first of all, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Hey, it's a great pleasure. Now, let's give people some understanding, first of all, who may not be familiar, perhaps, with the group's mission. Now, what does the commission do, first of all?
The Vermont Commission on Women was created 55 years ago, and it's a organization of commissioners from around the state. It's a quasi-governmental organization that is the only organization in the state of Vermont that is completely focused on what the status and improving the status of women and girls.
A very holistic kind of approach through all facets of life, I'd have to think?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, and now you mentioned, of course, being a new chair. How does the selection process work? Is the chair elected? Is the chair appointed by Governor Scott or somebody else?
Commissioners are appointed to the commission by either the governor, the Speaker of the House, or on the Senate side through the Committee on Committees. Once the commissioners are appointed, the involvement of those bodies and the governor ends, and then the selection process for the chair of the commission is a vote of the commissioners.
All right. Based on that, then, what do you personally, think your counterparts on the commission see in you to lead them to want to place their stamp of approval on you and elect you as chair?
It was an incredible honor to be chosen. It was wonderful to have been appointed by Governor Scott, but to have been selected by my fellow commissioners was really a pretty wonderful thing to have happen. I think, I hope it's that they see that I really want to hear all the voices in the room and make sure everybody is being heard. Their varying views are welcomed and encouraged and expressed, so that we're really getting one of the wonderful things about the commission is that it is a broad variety of voices. We have one man on the commissioner. We would absolutely love to have more, but we have women of different ages, races, and throughout the entire state. One of the things that we work hard to have is to have representation from all over the state.
Indeed. To give people some idea then of what sort of perspective, Lisa, your voice on the commission might happen to carry, why don't you perhaps tell people a bit about your own background that you've taken with you into your role with the group?
Sure. My motivation to put my name forward in 2017 when I saw that there was an opening on the commission was a recent experience I had had with sexual harassment at the workplace when I was pursuing a position with a company. I had actually been approached about a job there. That was difficult.
Yeah.
It certainly, I had dealt with sexual harassment many times before that, as all women do, but this was the first time that I had actually gone through any type of legal process, and that made me aware of the work that really needed to be done on the issue. So that was one thing I wanted to carry with me with my voice, and so put my name forward, and I was fortunate to be selected.
Very good. Let's just tell people too, where in Vermont do you live, first of all?
I live in Stowe.
Great.
I grew up in Orange and lived in Montpelier for a bunch of years, and then raised my sons in Stowe.
Outstanding. Definitely helps to have that as, again, part of the picture that people might have of what sort of perspective your voice carries. Then, Lisa, let's touch upon then, this is obviously a very broad question, I'm sure. Feel free to address it in whatever way you think you'd like to, but in whatever general or specific terms you'd like to go at this through, what do you believe the state of women in Vermont is?
It really depends on the issue. We have come a long way on a lot of different issues, economically, socially, culturally. We have a long way to go. We have 47% of Vermont-led households that are led by women in Vermont live in poverty. So that is certainly a statistic we want to see much improved. There are sectors of the job market that women just aren't entering into or being encouraged to enter into, and there are different organizations working hard on that, like Vermont Works for Women and Change the Story. But we really want to see more women getting into technology and getting into different trades where there's going to be a tremendous need in the next couple of decades with an awful lot of folks are going to be retiring from those, and we hope to see a lot more women filling those jobs.
Yeah, exactly. The trade and labor force needs to certainly be bolstered, no matter what gender or the perspective those workers might happen to come from. You mentioned, of course, that there are some areas of life in Vermont where you think women are making quite a bit of progress. I believe one of those might happen to be regarding reproductive rights, given the effort that we've seen in the legislature just this year to try to codify reproductive rights within the state constitution.
That was really wonderful to see, not just bipartisan, but I think we have 4 or 5 different parties that are represented in the State House, and then by the governor to make sure that we did protect reproductive rights for women, and over the next couple of years there is a constitutional amendment that has been proposed, and that's a multi-year process, but hopefully we'll see that continue to move forward and eventually become a part of the Constitution.
Right, because what we've just seen with the constitutional amendment being passed by both chambers of the legislature has to happen all over again the next legislative session too, before it can go to voters.
Right, it's a long process.